Was there any jealousy between Beefcake and Hogan's relationship?
With the rest of the boys?
Yeah.
Yeah. People thought, well, Beefcake's only getting his break because of Hulk Hogan.
Right.
Well, when I wrestled Hulk Hogan myself, several people thought that was the same thing. Only because I was the Macho Man's brother did I get the break. So may I not say who said it? Came up to me in the dressing room in front of all the boys, say, isn't it true that you're only getting a break because the Macho Man's your brother? And I said, yes. It just takes the bullets right out of their gun.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Huh.
Do I have to mention whose name it was if he's deceased?
If you don't want to, you don't have to.
I'd rather not because it's true. I got the break because I'm the Macho Man's brother, okay? In other words, but then again, I did carry the mail for quite a few years in anonymity,
right.
You know, and I did the blade job so Andre could get the main event, so it was my turn. So if you want to say that the Macho Man, okay, guilty as charged. I mean, that takes the bullets out of your gun. If it makes you feel better, I can handle it.
How did the whole idea for the Genius gimmick come about? And also, what were the long range plans for the gimmick?
Well, nobody told me any long range plans for the gimmick, but it was Vince McMahon's idea, and I was excited because it seemed like a big break and a new thing, and it seemed like something that I could take my Ricky Starr gimmick that nobody liked and use that, because there were people that thought I couldn't get the heat after being so well liked as a babyface. Well, I knew if I made a complete metamorphosis, and I knew that Ricky Starr gimmick in the back of my head that I was forced to shut down in Charlotte could be utilized many years later in the Big Apple. So I used it, and Hogan loved it. Vince loved it for a while. I imagine it got old for them, but it sure worked for a while, and I'm sure I'm glad that I learned it, hit it, and then exploited it at the right moment. And it was all worth it, and I have absolutely no bitterness. You change one word and bitter becomes better. B-I-T-T-R becomes B-E-T-T-E-R.
Speaking of gimmicks, we never really talked about it. How did you come about doing the poetry like before the match? I know you said you're a fan of it, but whose idea was it to do that?
Vince McMahon. Mm-hmm. First, it started with me being proactive because I was on a TV show called TNT, Tuesday Night Titans. Do you remember?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. I knew that as a jabroni, without a push, that I knew that I had 6 minutes to get over or don't get over either way. And I felt I had the capabilities to get over because I've always felt more confident in front of the microphone than in the ring. Okay, and this is my chance to show the powers that be that I was capable. So I didn't want to give the babyface interview, well, I'm just glad to be here. I hope I'm going to do my best, and that's all I can say. Okay, so I put on my suit of armor that I got as a brainchild of some bad dream that I had, that I thought, is there some way I can get over without any ability whatsoever? Okay, so I got my suit of armor, $1,100, which is theatrical armor that probably in the Broadway musical Camelot, King Arthur, Sir Lancelot would wear. Okay, it wasn't real armor, it was theatrical armor. I put it on, and I walked out there, and I gave this poem. Look back through the annals of history and the Wrestling Hall of Fame, men from all nations with courage to spare, who struggled to carve out a name. Now compare these high standards of valor to those chivalrous knights of yore, with bravery staunch as their armor, their glory both legend and lore. My medieval connection with wrestling relives that magnificent past. Although mindless skeptics may snicker and scoff, the winner is he who laughs last. Alive with the love of wrestling, I appear on TNT between Vince and Awful Alfred, the hottest show on TV. I'm not your average wrestler, but I wouldn't want to be. I never scream or kiss my arms. I'm happy just being me. I call myself Leaping Lanny. I validate what I say to every single wrestling fan who's watching USA. Yes, I believe in miracles as God has blessed this great land. I believe the referee will soon be raising my hand. And what happened was, Bobby Heenan was with me, and that's perfect because he could play just throw a little vinegar in the greens. Right. And we had some banter back and forth, and then we went to black, and the segment changed, and Vince McMahon says, Lanny, that was great. From now on, when you get in the ring, you do a poem before every match.
That's awesome.
And I said, thank you, I'll do my best. But then at the same time, when I went to bed that night, I didn't say wet the bed, did I? I said went to bed. Okay. Folks, this is a shoot interview, and I wear adult diapers. Okay. When I went to bed, W-E-N-T.
Right.
See how one little letter can change the whole message?
It's great.
Okay. So when I went to bed that night, I realized, ruh-roh, I have to do a poem before every match. Be careful what you wish for.
Right.
So I thought to myself, I said, there must be some way that I can tease the audience into liking me even if they don't, not booing me. So I decided to throw scrolls of poetry to the people. But there was a problem with that. It only went to the first row and sometimes not even that far. Right. And that's like a social class distinction that I don't like the cheap seats. So I thought to myself, this isn't going to fly. And I thought to myself, Frisbees will. So then I invested a little money and I wrote a poem on Frisbees. I had it embossed. And, anybody can do it, but do they? But, I'm just thinking also, how can I get over without any ability whatsoever? And I said, on the Frisbee says, if I can remember it, it's been a long time. The World Wrestling Federation has caused a culture shock in every phase of our society, from classical to rock. In triumphant jubilation, every social class is won with a single common interest, just to have a little fun. I've seen the rapture in the eyes of fans from every nation. You made us what we are today, World Wrestling Federation. So on the other side, I would write a poem. Now, I have a complaint. Chief J. Strongbow. Yeah, he was the guy that would tell you who you were going to go up against, right? And you know what? He never told me who I was going to do it until they put it on the chalkboard. He wouldn't let me know in advance. So I had to write a poem sometimes with moments to go. Now, what I found out about myself was, fortunately, I am a real genius. I can come up with it that quickly. I didn't realize how good I was until I was forced into it. With my back to the wall, with the pressure on, that I can actually come up with that type of thing. And maybe it made up for whatever I lacked in the ring. It was good enough to keep me having a job for 7 years.
All right. You actually answered a lot of my questions.
Yeah, well, did you ever do a poem on some guy or like your opponent, and you ever say something like criticizing and you got heat from them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any names?
Well, I love this guy, like Hercules Hernandez.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the poem. It ended. The punchline was, his male ego is very insecure. And that in itself wouldn't upset anyone. But when I said that line, which was my punchline, I made the little gesture. And that is something that no man wants to hear.
All right.
Okay?
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.